Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is April 9th, 2025. It is my 28th birthday. And I had a nice day today. That's not why I'm recording this video. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I have some things to say about it, and I have some things to say about us and how we're doing. There's a lot going on. There's I don't know if you guys have heard, there's some tariffs people are excited about. There's some economic changes unfolding, maybe, but there's certainly a lot of chaos. China is doing well. Again, this is maybe even more niche. People don't know that there's other countries. China is another country that has been making all of our stuff for the last several decades. They have been the world's factory for quite some time, and now they are doing. It's paying off a little bit. It's paying off. They've got nicer cars. They have nicer phones. They know how to make things. Not just cheap things. They know how to make cheap things, and they know how to make nice things cheaply. They're very good at it. So props to them. They're doing quite well. I hope they're doing well. But it might be a little bit of a wake-up call for a lot of countries, in the U.S. in particular, who all we do is buy stuff. We are a consumer economy, which means we just buy things. We have jobs on computers, and then we buy things. Jobs on computers, and then you buy things, and then we had too many things, and we put them in storage, and now there's just storage units everywhere. But we're a consumer economy, okay? Like, that's a real term. But what that means is we don't know how to make anything. That's what that means. I just bought a vanity off Amazon for $640. I haven't checked. I'm going to assume it was made in China. I'm going to assume. That's a very inexpensive vanity, if you've ever tried to buy a vanity before. And it was very difficult to put together. I'm halfway through it. It was a challenge. And you know what was, the thought struck me, the fact that I could put together, that I knew how to assemble this IKEA-esque piece of furniture made me a handy person by our standards. That most people, that this is a skill that's beyond them. Just assembling the thing that has been produced for us. And I think that is a good picture of how incapable we are of making things, making nice things. I can't make almost anything. We sit on our computers all day. We have these information jobs, which will now be obsolete because of AI. They're going to take a lot of the reason that we make so much money, which will be great. You know, the quality of living will increase as AI generates all this value. But we're not going to have those same cushy computer jobs in the same way anymore. Not a lot of people won't. So what happens when you have a consumer economy? Well, all we do is buy things. And then we lose those high-paying jobs, that information, cognitive labor section of the market. We're no longer the best at that. What do we do? We can't make anything. And this is essentially what Trump's argument is. We have quote unquote trade deficits, which was, all that means is that we don't buy things from other countries. Or excuse me. We buy things from other countries. They buy nothing from us because we don't make anything. And that's a trade deficit. And that's what's so unfair. It's a little bit, that's an interesting way to put it. I would just say that we buy things, but we don't produce anything. That's what I would say. So anyways, that's the situation that Trump is attempting to rectify by, adding tariffs to, the U.S. importing goods so that this relationship can balance out again. We're gonna start making things again. The problem is that none of the people here can make anything. I don't know if you can just send people to a factory again. We can't make anything. We can't build IKEA furniture. We certainly can't design IKEA furniture and then produce it at scale. We certainly can't do it cheaply. What's going to happen is, there's going to be a rough adjustment period. I hope that people can get by with less stuff. A lot less stuff. I think we're used to buying everything for 10 cents a piece, and we don't even think about how much work it would take to produce that thing ourselves. That's probably going to change. We're going to have to get used to having less stuff. But honestly, I think that's fine, because there's a deeper problem there, which is we have a computer job, we do nothing. We buy a bunch of stuff, and then we're depressed and anxious because we don't understand what makes us happy in the first place. Deprivation isn't a fun life. Being a Chinese person in a sweatshop is not a fun life. I wouldn't pick that. But I think at the end of their life, this was forced upon them. I think at the end of their life, they would still respect themselves in a way that someone living here in the most abundant, rich country in the history of the world, we eat ourselves to death, both literally and in every other category of consumption. And we're unhappy, but not because there's deprivation. It's because we don't even understand what happiness is, and we're the dog who eats the entire bowl of dog food until we're sick, throws it up, and then goes to eat more dog food. We've had decades of abundance, and we're anxious and depressed and don't understand how to make ourselves happy. There's an experiment that I learned about a few years ago, and I'll never forget it. It was herring gulls, a certain kind of bird. It's a certain kind of bird that their mother has a red dot somewhere on its chest or on its feathers somewhere as a red dot. And there's some sort of instinct in the baby gulls to pester that little spot on the mother so it gets food. And this is just a basic, mechanism. It's an instinct in the little birds. They peck the mom, they get food. And what scientists did, it was an experiment in supernormal stimuli. So they, instead of a real mother bird, they took the mother out of the nest, and they made these little cardboard, representations of birds. They're not very good. It's just a two-dimensional, flat bird shape with a red dot on it. And the baby gulls pecked at the cardboard bird right at the red dot. It was the red dot that they pecked at. And then the scientists thought, well, that's an interesting finding. What if we just made the red dot bigger? So they made the red dot a little bit bigger. And then the baby gulls just pecked even more furiously. They got more excited to peck at the red dot. It didn't matter that the bird was obviously fake. It didn't matter that they weren't being fed. The reward system, the instinct inside of them was to peck at the red dot. Stay with me. Fundamentally, what we are, or what we experience as pleasure, are reward systems, reward mechanisms built inside of us, designed to push us towards certain goals, okay? Just like the baby birds, it feels good to eat food. It's pleasurable to eat food. When we're thirsty, it feels good to drink water. And the reason it feels good is because there's a designed reward mechanism inside of us that knows in order for us to live, we need food. So I'm going to make it feel good to eat. We need water to live? Okay, it's going to feel good to drink water. It's an end, or it's a means to an end. Pleasure is a means to an end. Fundamentally, that's what pleasure is. That's what happiness, the feeling of happiness is. So people are wondering, okay, why am I so unhappy? Why am I depressed? Why am I miserable? We have everything we could possibly want. We've had this impossible surplus of anything that we could possibly want to buy for decades and decades, and we're completely unhappy. It's because we don't understand this fact. We don't understand what happiness is. And what really terrified me was in March, I believe, was it 2022 when GPT-4 came out? Not the original ChatGPT, but a few months later in March, they released GPT-4, which was the first time that AI felt truly intelligent to me, beyond semantic understanding. It felt truly intelligent to me, and that's when it went from being very cool to being very cool still, but also I was really panicking for what humans would do in response to that, because it was smarter than most people I knew, if I'm really honest. And I think people don't realize that because they're too dumb to ask the right questions. Like you never, it's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, ask what's the meaning of life and everything. It's essentially, it rejects the question because it's a dumb question. So people didn't realize what was going on, and maybe still don't realize what's going on because they aren't even asking the questions to get that right answer. It's like if you met Einstein on the street and you asked him what his favorite kind of ice cream was, would you know that he was Einstein? Probably not. So anyways, it's besides the point. So GPT-4, it's already smarter than most people I know in a lot of ways. And that's when I knew that this wave of uselessness was coming. That on top of the fact that people don't understand what makes them happy, they don't know how to navigate that. And without suffering being forced on them, they just, consume, we consume ourselves into excess and suffering. We peck the dot. We see the companies offer us the supernormal stimulus of fast food, pornography, just the ability to live a completely sedentary life. It's this fake bird with a giant red dot on it, and it feels good to peck at the red dot. It feels good to watch TV of people going on an adventure. It feels almost exactly the same as actually doing something with your life. And I think that's what I wish, that's what was really a revelation to me in terms of rejecting hedonism, because it feels exactly the same to go live your life as it does to just watch a TV show of someone else living an exciting life. It feels exactly the same because the feeling is just pecking the red dot. Watching pornography and even in the future, you have no idea what's coming. It will feel just as real and just as good as any real sex possibly could. It really will. And I know you're thinking, no, there's no way, there's the real connection. But that's the thing. The feeling of pleasure is a means to an end. It's the reward system. It's pecking the red dot. There are ways to short circuit all of these reward functions inside of you. It will feel just as good. And if you don't decide that you're going to take the harder path, if you don't decide that before you start life, there's no reason to not just short circuit every aspect of your brain and take the easy way out. To just watch TV, be addicted to pornography. Don't exercise, don't live your life, don't accomplish things. It will feel just as good. It will feel just as good. Because at the end of the day, you have to decide if it matters to you that you're living a real life or not. Because it's not going to feel any different. You just have to decide if it's worth it, if you actually care that it's real or not. Does it matter that we interact with our embodied selves and act out an adventure in the real world? Or does it just matter how we feel? Anyways. So GPT-4 comes out in March of 2022. I might be getting that year wrong. I can't remember. GPT-4 comes out. I'm beginning to panic because I know that our culture doesn't understand what happiness is. We don't understand who we are. And we're about to become useless in the sense that we can't provide economic value nearly in the same way and fit into the global economic system in the same way that we did before. We're not going to be the people that are just buying a bunch of cheap things from other countries, okay? I see both these things coming. And honestly, I think in the next few years, a lot of people are going to kill themselves because there's so many of us that put so much value in our work and what we can do. When we feel useless, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And the path forward is a narrow one. And the strange thing is that if we just understood what we were, it wouldn't be hard to do. If we understood that pleasure is just a means to an end, and it's not the thing that we need to be maximizing. Hedonism is just the foolish game of the baby bird pecking at a cardboard red dot for its entire life until it dies from malnutrition. Okay, that's what hedonism is. Pleasure is not the thing to be maximized. We have to understand what we are and actually seek the goals, seek the activities in the real world that we were designed to do. If we just got that, it would be so simple. Anyways, it wouldn't matter. So for decades, it's been so simple for us to reject these short-circuited, it's always an option for us to reject the fast food, to reject the entertainment, and just live our lives, apart from that. It's always an option, and it will continue to be an option. It will continue to be an option for young boys growing up to understand, you know what, I'm designed to actually go start a family and have kids. It feels good to have sex because I'm supposed to reproduce and have kids. The point is not the pleasure. The pleasure is a means to an end, to engage in the activity that we were designed to engage in, and then we are happy, and then we have a fulfilling life. If young people understood that, we would be fine. We would be fine. I'm just afraid that we're cooked, man. That's the polite way of saying it. At the snap of a finger, you could generate, I don't want to give people ideas, but more than you could possibly imagine. It's already possible now, cheaply and easily. And I'll just say, like, I have not watched pornography since I was, I think, 14 years old. Okay. Fun fact. It feels, I was addicted to pornography for a couple of years before that point, and for parents who have kids that are, 11 or 12 years old, a bit of a wake-up call there. You have access to pretty much anything. But even that's as far as I understand it, that's quite young for me to have started, but also stopped watching pornography. And I know firsthand the difference in brain activity, the difference in your thoughts. The years when I was addicted to pornography, and then, a year after, 2 or 3 years after, my brain was not the same, man. And I think having my formative years as a teenager and not being addicted to pornography was a game changer for me. I couldn't be more thankful for that. And I just feel like people, man, they're just not ready. You're just not ready for that. There's so many men addicted to pornography. And you're not terrified of it nearly as much as you should be. You should be fucking terrified. You will be so easily manipulated. So easily manipulated. Your brain is just sunken into this black hole. All of your internal reward mechanisms are short-circuited. The fact, your brain is not the same. Your brain is not the same. You're walking around, you're interacting with people, you're interacting with women. It's not the same. And you're so vulnerable to being manipulated by companies. Whoever wants to just dangle the carrot in front of you, you're so weak that you can't just stand your ground and be unaffected by it. All of this, you would be fine if you just weren't so easily manipulated. But we all are. We all are in various ways. Pornography is a big one, but there are many others. People who can't stop themselves from buying things. People who can't help but just want to be comfortable. They just can't, they just love to be comfortable so much. They could be manipulated into complete inaction. So I sure hope that we can wake up a little bit. Honestly, the fact that there's so many beautiful things in life. Life is such a gift. Life is such a gift. In spite of all these things, I'm sure that we've all had amazing moments with people we love and care about, relationships. Seeing beautiful things in the world, in nature. In spite of all these things that we do to mess it up, life is such a gift. And if we just get out of our own way, do what we're designed for, that's where happiness is. Suffering is not a bad thing. Honestly, you'll have so many choices every single day to choose some suffering or to choose more consumption every second, more consumption. You know what's strange? I had this thought recently about how easy it is to have just it's so easy to have the most delicious meal of your entire life for almost no money. It's so easy. If you were to ask someone on the street, do you want the most amazing meal you've ever had in your entire life right now for $10? They would say, yeah, of course. Okay. And the truth is, it's so easy. All it takes to have the most amazing meal of your entire life is to not eat for 2 days. It actually saves you some money. You don't eat for anything for 2 days. And then you eat a slice of bread, eat a piece of meat, something, broccoli, doesn't matter. It might be the most delicious thing you've ever eaten. And somehow, this is just a fact. And I think everyone knows that this is true. Like, of course it would be. Of course it would be. You haven't eaten for 2 days, it would be the most delicious thing. It would be incredible. Somehow we go decades and decades of our lives never making that choice. It would take 2 days, probably less than that, to have the most amazing meal of your entire life. And every single day, every single hour, we just choose to keep eating food instead. Every single hour, years and years, decades after decades, we choose not to do that. We choose not to be happy. So I hope we can start doing that. I hope I can start doing that more. Have a nice night, everyone. Goodbye.